Hey everybody, this is Pyro from Team ESG, and today I'm going to be bringing you a first live look at a game called The Long Dark. This game specifically is about survival, atmospheric survival more than anything else. As you can kind of see in the picture here, you're in the frozen north. It's cold where you're at, and so basically what we're going to be looking at today is just kind of a quick overview of the game. This is the one I'm going to be streaming this upcoming Wednesday, so you'll kind of be able to really get an in-depth peek at the game then. But I wanted to give you kind of sampling of the gameplay to see if there's something you might be interested in. Please leave comments below if you have any questions or if you have any other suggestions of games like this for me to play. I'm definitely interested because I do really enjoy this game. It is somewhat difficult, but it's not too bad. I mean, once you kind of get the hang of it, you're okay. The problem, or not necessarily a problem, but one of the things is the game doesn't really tell you how to do that, so that's always fun. So here we go. We're going to jump in. Obviously, as you see, this game is still in alpha. It's an early access game, so not too many people know about it yet, but it does have a strong, kind of indie following, and those are the games that I kind of like to play, the games in development, the games that aren't quite mainstream yet, but definitely hold a super amount of potential to be very good games. So we're going to jump into the sandbox here. You saw there's different difficulty settings. I just went with the normal one, which basically will make different kinds of animals will come after you and try to attack you. If you just play the easy setting, it's basically just about you versus the environment. We're going to go into Mystery Lake here, and we're going to see what's going on. So as you can see here, it says a mysterious geomagnetic storm has brought your plane crashing down into the northern Canadian wilderness. How long can you survive? So that's the premise. On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0. And that's so true. That Chuck Palahniuk, he's a great writer. If you get to read any of his stuff, it's excellent. But anyway, here we are. So this is actually, we started the game in a great spot, actually. We're in one of the log cabins, which is really, really nice. It's not... it's not going to be too cold in here. Let me turn up I'll turn up the sound a little bit for you guys just so you can kind of hear what's going on. I had to turn it down before because it'll get a little intense in that opening screen. But here we go. So this should be okay. So the key here is you're going to basically want to look around all your environments. Here's a lantern. That's great. You're going to need one of those. I'm going to take it for now. Any kind of food, obviously. The main thing that you want to start in this game with, at least, is shelter. That looks like a can opener. You need that to open cans of food, tin of coffee. Starting in a location like this is pretty rare. It's not something you're going to do often. Most of the time you actually start out in the wilderness, and you're freezing to death within the first 20 minutes of the game, which... kind of very quickly compels you into getting inside somewhere so that you don't freeze to death. These potbelly stoves are in a lot of the buildings and different areas around, and they will essentially be your lifeline and keep you alive. Now, bandages are always good in case you get attacked by wolves or bears. Shelf. Now, if I had a hatchet, I could break this down into usable wood. But right now, you just got to kind of look for what you find on the floor. So that's kind of what it is. First aid kits. Always good. Just some more bandages, antibiotics in case you get infected. There are workbenches at a lot of these locations, and they will allow you to craft several kind of different things, which is always nice. Fishing lines, different things like that. So if you click on it, you'll see you get a couple of different items that you can craft. I can make a torch if I want, snares to catch animals, hooks, different things. Fishing tackle. This I'm actually going to make because one of the main sources of food will come from fishing. So now I've got some fishing tackle, and I can use that to kind of get me through. So this is the bottom floor, and this is obviously during the day. It's early on in the day because you can see light coming through everywhere. This is your main status page here. So right now I'm warm because I'm inside, rested, obviously, full, and I'm not super thirsty. You'll see your calorie store, what the temperature is inside. As long as you keep your temperature above freezing, you will stay warm. but when it goes below freezing, essentially when you go outside, different things like that, that's when you're going to have a real problem. So here's some of the stuff I've collected already, and here's a log of kind of what's going on so far for the day. So we'll get into that a little bit more as I play through, but you know, it's a very minimalist interface, which I do actually quite enjoy. So you can see, here's a dead guy. He didn't make it. He froze out to death. But you always check them, see what they got on them. So he had some soda. Gloves, those could be helpful. I don't even know if I have any on right now. Alright, got some beds. We got a bed roll. Another wood stove. Nice thing about these, you can cook on them. What's over here in the cupboard? Nada. Alright, you can break these crates down into wood as well if you want. I'm not going to, because since they started me here, I'm probably going to use this as basically my base operations. I'll go out and scout during the day, and then kind of come back here at night and, you know, start a fire and try and keep myself warm. So, let's go outside into the wilderness. Hopefully there's not a storm raging right now. Okay, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So there's no storm, as we can see here. It's not super cold, but it's cold enough. So that's one thing. I think the artwork in this game is gorgeous. I mean, for what they're trying to do here, I think it's very, very nice. You know, so that's handy. It really fits kind of the game environment. And it's very unique. You know, it's a little bit different. So got some more food to eat, which is good. These here, these cattails, you can actually use them to start fires. So I always grab a few of them because they're nice tinder plugs. You can actually eat them as well if you don't have any food. Apparently they're sustenance. I'm not sure if that's true in real life or not, but it's true in the game, so that's kind of cool. This game takes a very interesting stance on running and things like that. Running will use your energy, which will in turn use your calories. And your calories or your energy will keep you warm, will keep you not from being tired and things like that. It's also what you're going to use to fight off wolves and bears if and when they do attack. I'm not seeing any right now, so we should be okay. But they will rear their heads at some point. So I'm going to use a little bit more stamina. This is one of the fishing huts in the game. You never really know what you're going to find in here. One thing is for certain, though, you will find a fishing hole, and that will allow us to get some food, hopefully.
What have we here?
So we got some granola bars, we got some orange soda. Those are good things to have. Can of peaches. Here we go. Get some wood. This is good. This is good quality wood here, too. Tinder plugs, use that to start a fire. Oh, and that's perfect. Early in the game to get a hatchet is huge. Sometimes you could play this game for several days in-game and you don't get anything. You know, like you don't get a knife, you don't get nothing. So getting a hatchet this early is great because it'll allow us to break down a lot of other wooden items, shelves, chairs, and stuff like that for wood to burn if we need to. I can also use the hatchet to break this ice, which I'm going to do, and see about getting maybe a couple of fish. So I don't have much daylight left, as you can see up in the top left there. About 3 hours of daylight. There we go. Now I'm just going to fish for, let's say, an hour and see if I get anything. Common freshwater fish, raw, plentiful. We'll take that. Alright, so something you want to be careful about too is you always want to be watching what's going on. As you can see, my guy's gotten cold because he's been out here and, you know, there's a little storm going on. It's not too bad, it's just a windstorm right now, but this stuff will affect you after a while. Now, while you're fishing, one thing that you can kind of do is you can actually start a fire in a lot of those huts, and that'll keep you warm. But right now I'm really trying to conserve as much wood and fire as I can. When you're in enclosed houses, kind of like that the one I was in a few minutes ago, you know, that'll allow you to really conserve your wood and things like that, because the houses are usually warm enough to stay above freezing, and then if you buckle down in one of the beds or your bedroll, you'll warm right up. You can get rid of any kind of frostbite or hypothermia. I'm glad this showed up here. I don't know if you guys can see this right here, these three birds that are flying over a location. That will mean there's a dead carcass, body, deer, you know, could be anything.
Can't feel my feet.
But when you see it, that's what that means. Now in this case, it was already, as you can see my footprints from before, it was already the corpse I checked. But that's what that means when you're playing this game, which is kind of cool. Alright, so I'm going to get back inside because it's getting a little cold out, and it's about to be nighttime. Nighttime in this game is pretty funny because if you don't have anything to, you know, essentially light up the inside when it's night, it's pitch black, and by like you can't see anything in the game, you just get a black screen. So that's always fun. So now that we're inside, you can see the little arrow essentially next to my character up the top where it says numb, and it's going to go up slowly because we're inside. If I want to start a fire right now and cook one of the fish, which is what I'm going to do, you'll essentially, you know, you'll see it start up quicker. Now, starting these fires doesn't always work. You get skill points in the game, and as you know, start more fires, you get better at starting fires. As you harvest or fish and different things like that, your skills obviously will level up, and you get better at doing certain things. The better the wood that you use, the more success you might have in starting a fire. This fire looks like it's going to start, which is good. And let's see what happens here. Yep, so we got a fire, and as you see down at the bottom, it says fire starting, skill increased to 51. So now we've got a fire going, and what you want to do is you want to make sure you keep the fire going. So right now we have 52 minutes of fire, so if I throw in a little bit more wood, now we've got a longer fire going. So now I can choose to actually cook some of the food that I've got, so I'm going to cook this piece of fish. And that's it. So now I've got cooked fish. I don't have any water, but you can melt snow to get water. So I'm going to melt a little snow and get myself a little water. You can drink sodas and things like that too if you want, but water is, you know, always the best way to go. The thing is, you also have to boil the water after you melt it. Otherwise, you know, you could get dysentery and other kinds of wonderful sicknesses. So that's always fun. A lot of stuff you gotta kind of learn trial by error. You know, just doing it, you'll figure it out. So this fire's still got a lot of, well, it's still got about an hour left in it. If I can find something in here to break down quickly, I can keep this fire going. I'm not sure how long it'll take to break down this chair. Hour and 45. So the fire will go out by the time I finish breaking it down. And I could always start the fire up again. It's not a huge deal, but this is another good one too. This will take me 2 hours to break down. You see on the right hand side, it pretty much gives you how long it's going to take, you know, what it's going to cost you in energy, time, what you'll get out of it. So it's very good. The shelves are good to break down because you get a lot of wood from them. But my character's already fully warm, so I don't really have to worry about that. The fire's not my #1 issue at this point. I got other needs, so basically you just want to go in and you just want to take care of them. So you can separate, you know, each thing can be separated into different ones, different categories. So those gloves I found before, I can put those on. They're going to keep me warmer. And here I've got all the food I've collected, essentially. So I'm going to eat this, and that should fill me right up. And I'm also going to drink some water. There we go there. Alright, so now I'm going to be feeling better. Still got the fire. Don't really need it anymore. One thing that's nice too is that you can usually pull a brand out of the fire. Yeah, there we go. So I pull a torch out of the fire. And then you can use this. You can walk around with this. You know, this can kind of be your guiding light in the darker buildings. I always love to have this because if you have one of these and you start a fire with it, oh, these will break down quickly. Break down these, start the fire, keep the fire burning. But yeah, if you have one of these, you know, you can start a fire much easier at other locations. So that's kind of nice. And here you go, guys. This is pretty much a you know, a live look-in of The Long Dark. This is what the game is about. As you can see, the darkness is creeping in, and it'll make it hard to see. And the game does a very good job of making you feel like you're out here by yourself. So anyway, that's it. This is what I'm going to be going into in-depth Wednesday. Probably get a 2, 3, maybe 4-hour play session in. We'll get really in-depth with the game. I'll show you a lot of the systems and kind of how you can stay alive. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick look in. I'll see you on Wednesday. Take care, guys.